Good morning, all. Paul from CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Wednesday morning, July 16th. We're looking at Window Trader's market profile of the ES and NQ. Let's give some love to the bears this morning, okay? Especially in NQ. Let's show some things that could be positive, at least short term for them. So first thing, we had excess at the all-time high. Our all-time high is also in regular trading hours. We ended up with, we talked about this morning, a potential value island top, right? Monday, value here. Yesterday, up here. And now this morning, for now, down here. That's a value gap at the all-time high. Also, potentially, if we gap lower, an island top, as we would have. Actually, I take that back. We filled the gap late yesterday. It would have been an island top if we had held this gap. So we wouldn't have that. We filled it literally late in the day. But you can still have potentially the value island top. You have the base of the price probe also. So the bears right now are trying to assert some control. Now, before you start popping champagne and blowing up balloons, right now the monthly and weekly are still very healthy. And if the market ends up not gapping lower this morning, the daily would still be up, right? NQ's coming into today as of right now is up on the daily. So all those things I just talked about could go away in a heartbeat for the bears, right? ES is still balanced. I said ES just stretched the balance high. So if the bears really want to start changing the landscape of what the market is doing and what the charts look like in favor of the bulls, not only would they want to potentially gap lower, and even if they don't gap lower, hold the base of that price probe and hold lower value, and then what could potentially happen? Well, you'd be back in balance in NQ if you take out yesterday's low, and then the next step is to get to the balance low, which right now is the 7th low, which is also the weekly low they're looking to take out. It's all baby steps, right? Anytime the bears have tried to get things going, they've been thwarted. Yeah, they had a really big run in April to the downside. Didn't last long, right? Those vicious sell-offs, $50 ranges, 250 million shares in SPY. Didn't last long. We've had a tremendous run off of that. I'm saying, again, at some point, the monthly, not the weekly, but the monthly needs to come into some sort of balance, right? We've gone straight up from April's lows. So maybe this is a good segue for the bears to try to do that in NQ and even ES. It remains to be seen. You got PPI out today and then Beige Book at 2. So, again, lines in the sand we talk about. Well, first one, it would be the gap if NQ gaps lower for the bears to defend. Next would be what? The base of the price probe, and then for sure yesterday's value low. Those are your three early ones before we get MGI from today. As far as the bulls, well, again, because we're below yesterday's low, I'm not going to say yesterday's low. That would be one they'd want to defend in NQ because they were up on a daily. But for now, that's off the table. So what's the next one? Nothing really until that weekly low. Okay, down at July 7th. In ES's case, again, if we don't gap, their price probe will be extremely important. Why? Because their value from yesterday isn't that far from it. So if you get back above, where there were sellers yesterday, if they're not there and we get back into value, guess what? That 80-20 rule, we never really spoke about a lot. We seem to be speaking about it every day recently, as these short-term traders really have no conviction from one day to the next. So that would be important. NQ's value low, still further away from the base of the price probe. In fact, far further away by a lot. 25 handles. Okay? So that would be the real big one for bears to defend in ES. Okay? For the bulls, we've been talking about this. Look at all these lows. We have 4 lows between 82 and 76. I would say there's good odds to take those out today. You also haven't gotten the perfect POC from July 8th or the 18 wide right underneath. So there's a good chance this could all get wiped out this morning. Overnight doesn't do it. Need to do it in regular trading hours. So if they do that, then the question becomes, do we make any kind of headway towards the poor weekly low, which would put the weekly back to balance? The other thing is, like I said, if we do take out all this, I'm going to call the daily down. It's a 5-day balance for ES. So if we take out this low from the 9th, I would be calling the daily down. NQ, I'm not calling it down unless they take out the weekly low of the 7th. Again, you see how we give both sides of the market. It's very important to do that. Very important to do that. And then chart-wise, so here's the daily. ES just stretched it. That's why I kept it in balance. And their weekly, because the ranges are small, everything has to be on the table. Okay? Only $5 away from last week's low. And in triple Qs, right now, they're up on everything. But again, last week's low is only $7 away. You can get that in a heartbeat if the market ever really moved. Okay? But for now, look how strong their weekly has been. Right? It's been incredible. And the daily, because of what they did yesterday, coming into today, was up. Hope this all helps. Good luck trading today. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing to this channel. And we'll recap at 4 p.m.